Welcome to XFO Intelligence Podcast. Today, we're diving into a comprehensive analysis that challenges conventional narratives about the current global order. This report, developed through deep augmented thinking and research from credible sources, reveals something remarkable. The world isn't fragmenting, it's evolving into something far more complex and adaptive. Let's start with the core thesis. The global system is undergoing a fundamental transformation that transcends simple stories of decline or fragmentation. We're witnessing a shift from rigid Westphalian structures, those traditional nation-state frameworks, toward a fluid architecture of managed interdependence. This isn't collapse, this is recalibration. Three interconnected fractures are reshaping how power operates in our world. First, the geographic fracture. Physical borders no longer define the boundaries of national influence or vulnerability. Think about it. A nation can maintain complete territorial control, yet remain exposed to cyber attacks on critical infrastructure, algorithmic manipulation of public discourse, and cross-border financial operations that bypass traditional regulatory frameworks entirely. The traditional bargain of sovereignty, where states exchanged recognition for non-interference, has eroded because digital capabilities enable persistent, low-intensity interference that falls below thresholds for conventional retaliation. Strategic geography is now defined not by landmass or coastline, but by digital connectivity, undersea cable routes, satellite coverage, and data flow patterns. Control over these digital pathways has become as strategically significant as control over maritime choke points was in previous centuries. The second fracture is economic. The pursuit of efficiency through hyperglobalization created deeply interconnected supply chains that proved vulnerable to disruption. The realization that critical dependencies, semiconductors, rare earth elements, pharmaceutical ingredients, energy resources could be weaponized has triggered a fundamental reassessment. But here's what's crucial. This hasn't resulted in wholesale deglobalization. Instead, we're seeing a nuanced recalibration toward strategic autonomy in essential domains while maintaining integration in others. Successful economies are pursuing what we call resilient redundancy, diversifying suppliers, building domestic capacity in critical sectors, maintaining strategic reserves while preserving beneficial trade relationships. This represents a shift from just-in-time to just-in-case economics, where redundancy is valued as insurance against systemic shocks. We're not witnessing simple decoupling, but strategic reconfiguration, maintaining economic engagement while reducing exposure to coercion in critical sectors. The third fracture involves authority itself. Who has the ultimate power to establish rules and enforce norms? This question is increasingly contested across multiple domains simultaneously. Supranational bodies override national courts. Technology platforms establish global content policies affecting billions while operating outside traditional regulatory frameworks. A single algorithmic decision by a technology company can affect more people than many national laws, yet these decisions lack democratic accountability. States haven't lost authority, they're redefining it. The most effective governance now occurs through layered authority structures, where different entities exercise primary responsibility in their domains of competence. States for physical security, platforms for digital spaces, international bodies for transnational challenges. In response to these fractures, the global system is evolving toward what we call variable geometry, where nations cooperate deeply on shared challenges while competing vigorously in strategic domains. Traditional alliances built for enduring geopolitical blocs are giving way to coalitions of the solving, fluid, issue-specific groupings that form around particular challenges and dissolve once objectives are achieved. These coalitions demonstrate remarkable effectiveness because they align incentives precisely, minimize ideological friction, enable rapid adaptation, and preserve strategic autonomy.
Members may compete fiercely in technology markets while collaborating on emissions reduction standards, or maintain military tensions while coordinating on health security. This isn't inconsistency, this is sophisticated statecraft. Power itself is being redefined. It's simultaneously diffusing and concentrating. While the United States, China, and the European Union remain dominant forces, middle powers exercise unprecedented influence. India, Brazil, Indonesia, Nigeria. These nations leverage their strategic positions, resource endowments, and demographic weight to shape outcomes across multiple domains. But here's the key insight. The most powerful entities are not necessarily those with the greatest military capacity, but those controlling critical nodes in global networks. Resource holders who dominate access to lithium, cobalt, or uranium, or digital infrastructure like undersea cables, cloud computing capacity, and AI training data wield disproportionate influence. Technology leaders who establish de facto standards for artificial intelligence, quantum computing, or clean energy infrastructure create enduring advantages that compound over time. Now let's talk about the technology-climate nexus. Climate change and technological transformation have converged into a single strategic domain where nations compete for economic advantage while recognizing existential imperatives for cooperation. This represents the most significant strategic realignment of the century. Green technology has become geopolitical advantage. Nations leading in renewable energy, battery storage, carbon capture, and circular economy technologies are positioning themselves for long-term economic dominance. The transition from fossil fuels to clean energy is fundamentally restructuring global economic power. Countries that dominate green technology supply chains control the infrastructure of future prosperity. Simultaneously, artificial intelligence has completed its transition from specialized tool to foundational infrastructure. Control over AI development, deployment, and governance has become a primary strategic objective, with implications extending far beyond economic competitiveness. The AI race is characterized by both intense competition and necessary cooperation. Nations compete for talent and compute resources, while recognizing that AI safety and governance frameworks require international coordination. This brings us to the central insight. The goal is no longer, and likely never was, total autonomy. Instead, successful actors are building strategic interdependence through resilient redundancy. Pursuing absolute autonomy creates new vulnerabilities. Nations attempting complete self-sufficiency sacrifice efficiency, innovation, and economic growth while remaining exposed to global shocks they cannot control. The optimal strategy lies in strategic interdependence, maintaining control over critical capabilities while engaging beneficially in global networks. In the emerging order, power increasingly flows to those who control critical nodes in global networks rather than those who control the largest territories. Strategic value derives from resource control, technological leadership, connective capacity, and adaptive governance. Middle powers often excel in these domains, leveraging their ability to navigate between major power blocks while specializing in critical niches. This transformation is unfolding across multiple timelines. Economic reconfiguration is already underway from 2024 to 2026. Supply chains are fundamentally restructured. Social adaptation progresses from 2024 to 2028 as societies adjust to new realities of work, identity, and community. Geopolitical maturation from 2025 to 2029 will determine whether the emerging order settles into sustainable patterns or descends into destructive rivalry. The strategic implications are profound. Organizations and nations that build adaptive capacity through diverse partnerships, redundant systems, and continuous learning will command significant advantages. Resilience is not merely defensive, but enables offensive opportunities. The ability to maintain operations during crises creates market advantages, diplomatic leverage, and strategic flexibility. Despite intensifying competition, existential challenges demand unprecedented cooperation. The paradox of our era is that nations must compete more effectively while cooperating more deeply. The solution lies in modular governance, specialized frameworks for specific challenges that can function independently of broader geopolitical tensions. And we must not forget the human dimension. Technological acceleration and geopolitical transformation are testing the adaptive capacity of human institutions and social contracts. The most successful societies will invest not only in technological and economic resilience, but in social cohesion, institutional trust, and human capability development. So, what's the conclusion? The emerging global order is not characterized by fragmentation, but adaptive complexity. We're witnessing a system evolving to higher orders of complexity, moving from rigid hierarchical structures to fluid networked architectures capable of managing unprecedented interdependence while preserving agency. The Westphalian model served humanity for centuries, but its